Oh, intros.
Oh.
Oh no. I feel I'm frozen.
From you're Elsa?
Yes.
Nice.
No, I'm not gonna sing. I don't want to.
Let it go.
Do that.
Let it go.
Hi, this is Elsa. Welcome to our podcast.
We're both Elsa. We have both sides of Elsa. I'm the magic let it go one, and you're the anxiety hide in your tower after you scare your sister one. We're both sides of Elsa.
I want to hide.
And I want to let it go. That would be my song. Yeah. I want to hide. I want to hide. Don't look at me anymore.
You've literally just written my theme song.
You're welcome. I did it. That'll be $200.
Welcome to the Cryptonics Podcast, hosted by Phlog and Circeanic. Music is by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. What are we talking about again? We are talking about something specific today.
Abducted in plain sight.
Yes. The Netflix... was it specifically a Netflix documentary? I think it was.
I don't know.
I should have brought up more information on this. Hold on.
I clicked the something wrong button. That's not the right one.
Why did you click
Something's wrong. I don't know if it's by Netflix.
Produced by Jesus. The film was produced by Top Knot Films, later released by Netflix in 2019. So...
all I can envision is just one guy with a top knot, like one hipster with a top knot that just recorded the whole thing.
And we have a lot of thoughts about it.
Yeah. Okay, if anyone is listening to this that hasn't seen it, you might want to go watch it first, but also if you don't, more fun idea, listen to our thoughts on it first so you can form a bias and hear funny thoughts about it, and then when you watch it, then you'll be able to be like, oh, that's what they were talking, oh my god. More fun way to watch it.
Fuck, I lost that sentence. Let's just keep going. Okay.
I almost wish I knew about it beforehand, because when I watched it, I had no idea what any of this was. We're Canadian, so, shit that happens in America like this, we don't know. When I watched it the first time, I didn't know what to expect. And I went on so many roller coasters with this, where every 10 minutes, I'd be like, what? 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 But if I had been able to, form an opinion first, then I could have been in on it. It would have been like a sports event.
That is a good way to put it, I think.
Yeah.
But even us reading that recap article before this, we were doing the what thing, where we every once in a while I would hear you go, what the fuck? Or just something like that. Because we were recapping it to ourselves. It's been a while since we've actually watched a documentary, so...
yeah, so our memory is not gonna be a perfect which is why it's better, because we don't remember every specific detail, because it's been I don't know, it's been 9 months or something since we've watched this, which means that there will still be mystery left alive to go watch it later, but you'll have our hilarious thoughts on it.
This episode is for you to watch before you watch the Netflix documentary. That's a special hook to this. If you haven't seen it yet, listen to this, our recollection of it.
Or if you have seen it, then just enjoy our rambling riffs on it. Oh, I'm ready. Okay, I'm ready. TLDR, religious family, parent, 2 daughters, meet this neighbor who they really, really like. His name is Mr. B. He gets really involved with the family, abducts their daughter. They know about it. They, love him, though, and trust him. Don't do anything about it. They get their daughter back for reasons. She gets abducted again by the same guy, and there's madness all surrounding it. There's my TLDR.
What's your first note that you have?
They waited 3 days before reporting it. 3 days, okay? He takes her. We're going right into the abduction. I'm, skipping past, I didn't take notes during his obsession and stuff like that, because I think that is a whole thing of its fucking self. But, When he actually abducts her, they waited 3 days to report it. The mom gets, like, the FBI answering machine that's like, hey, we don't work weekends, call us again on Monday, or if it's an emergency, call this number. I would think abducting a child, your child, is an emergency, but she waited out the weekend. So it took her 5 days to report the first abduction. What?
And, like, rewatching parts of the documentary, like, a little bit before we did this, you really just get the sense that these people, it's like they don't know how to deal with the world, almost. Like, I have no idea. It's like they rely on the other people around them for them to form their opinions and everything. And if they can't get that, then I guess so, yeah.
The original Sheepo. Sheepo? Sheeple. It's like the Peepo emote, but if he was a sheep, it's Sheepo.
Oh my goodness.
It kind of makes sense, like, they were in a super rural community, and they were raised very religious in the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Well, and I think they bring it up at some point, too, that the religious aspect of it was very much you trusted the people, and especially the people who went to church with you and things like that, right? Like, it was almost like it couldn't even be a possibility that he could have done something wrong at that point to them.
But that said, the church also punished him for inappropriate actions with another, young girl, underage girl.
Mm-hmm. I think we're also, too, forgetting that this wasn't just a regular dude who was preying on a kid. This was, like, a dude who knew how to use people. And he knew how to target people that would be more easily used. Yeah, anyways, I'm gonna go down a whole rabbit hole if you let me just keep talking about that.
The 5 days, I can kind of get in the sense that they were like, oh, he couldn't have done anything. He's a nice church man. We love him. He does all these things with our family. And, like, I think by that point, he had, like, done construction in their house, and I think he was already, like, sleeping in bed with her.
I can't remember if that was just part of what was his supposed therapy that he was doing, like, afterwards, or if that was something he was doing beforehand.
Her and her sister were sleeping in the same room together. So he was like, oh, wouldn't it be, like, you guys are getting older, wouldn't it be nice to have your own rooms? And then, like, convinced the parents to let him build a wall in that room to have it be her own room. So he, like, separated the sisters and made its own room.
Right. Oh, every time I remember something about this. Okay, yeah.
He was, like, premeditating shit hard. So that, like, gave him a reason to be around the house a lot more because he was doing that construction and shit. And then he was, like, sleeping in the bed with her, and her parents fucking knew, like, they were like, oh yeah, that's fine, go sleep with our daughter, that's normal.
It just gives me, like, heebie-jeebies. Well, and here's the thing, like, I just had taken a quick glimpse through my notes, and I'm seeing a note that is reminding me about this dude's brother. It's like his brother also knew that he was a predator, essentially, and never...
Because he was doing stuff to their sister.
The documentary, it never seemed to make it clear if he told people about it or if he just kept the secret this whole time.
From what I understand, he just didn't talk about it.
Yeah, like, that seems like you're also not a great person. Like,
no. His brother validated it the whole time. Throughout the entire documentary, he's like, yeah, that was my brother. That's fine. Listen, it's just my brother. Right. Who cares? Like, he didn't fucking care at all. Before all of this, they have, like, a half-sister or something, and he was, like, messing around with her, too. And the brother knew that and was like, yeah, they mess around. But they were, like, only half related. It's like, that's still half related.
Do you have any other good notes? We don't really have to go chronologically because we've been kind of jumping all over the place, but...
So, let's look at all the fucking predatory fucking behavior shit he did. So, before he even abducts her, he is getting to know the family, warming up the family. He was, like, fluffing the family. After he fluffs the family, he, like, convinces them to let him build this wall. Starts sleeping with her in her bed, like, physically sleeping, but there was times when she'd wake up with, like, her underwear off. Ew, yuck. he took pictures of her, and like in the documentary it like shows the pictures, and it'll be pictures of her with like her leg like kind of up into the side so you can see her underwear, or her like kind of spreading her legs, and I'm like, what the fuck?
I have a note about that. I said, wow, didn't need to see those pics of a kid like that.
Yeah, dude.
Why would you include those? We don't need to see.
I felt like
pictures.
I was going to go to jail
that's
for looking at the documentary.
Yes, that's literally like.
I felt yucky. I like wanted to take 12 showers after.
It is yucky. Like, those were not taken. The only way that it's okay for those to be shown is if Jan herself agreed or wanted to have them shown in the documentary, because they're pictures of her, so I guess you could say she could give consent. Yes. I still feel icky because those pictures were still taken under a certain context, and that I can't separate that from the picture, you know? So it just... yeah, so I made a note of that, being like, why would you even show that in the documentary? It just is...
Yucky. Yucky. And like, she's fully clothed. She's not wearing skimpy clothing either. It was clothing like of that time. A frilly like nightgown, you know, too fucking wide for your body, way fucking bigger than you, with like big fucking cap sleeves and shit. So it's not like it was like she was wearing revealing clothing. It wasn't that. It wasn't how she was dressed. It wasn't that she was making lewd faces. She had like a kiddish smile in all of the pictures. But that's what makes it worse.
Yeah. She
looked like a kid. She just had like a happy kid smile, but then was angled to show, I don't know, hips or underwear. Yucky!
Yep. Yucky.
Yucky. So then he finally abducts her, right? He's fluffed the parents enough. Oh, I'm gonna go out to fucking a farm or some shit. Can I take her with me? And they're like, yeah, go, whatever, live your best life, take our daughter wherever you want, oh my god, we love you.
We trust you so much.
We trust you, take her, do whatever you want with her, it's fine, we already let you do whatever you want with her, so just do it somewhere else now, yeah. And so he takes her, gives her supposedly her allergy medicine, but she fell asleep immediately and doesn't remember any of the drive. What allergy medicine does that? Because I need to start taking it every single night.
I think there is a point where Jen herself talks about, I don't know if it's in the documentary, but I read it in the recap article we read, that a lot of the time that she spent with B, I think he was slipping her sleeping pills and shit like that, so that she would just be out of it. This man knew what he was doing, right? There's no way. Oh,
yeah, 100%.
Another thing about the documentary itself that just seemed so strange to me was the way that they portrayed the relationship that Jan and B had, I guess, as being... It's almost like they gave it this romance twist.
They romanticized it, yeah. But, like, even then, they had a very romanticized relationship.
No, and I agree that it should be part of the documentary, because I think it's important to know that you can feel those real things even when you're being taken advantage of, right? Like, that's still a very real part of her experience, even though it was a horrific experience.
Yeah.
The documentary just made it seem, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it just made it seem
No, it definitely
way
seemed
more
very romanticized. Like, dramatized, though. Like, a dramatized romance.
It kind of felt soapy rather than informative.
And I think, like, everything with the parents, like, bleeds into that. So, oh boy, we gonna get to that. Oh my god.
I'm excited.
Oh my god.
Yeah, go off.
So he abducts her, right? He takes her. Slips her those pills. She doesn't remember the drive or whatever, but they end up fucking somewhere. I don't remember where they go. Mom doesn't call in until, like, 3 days. She calls the FBI 3 days later. And in those 3 days, they're like, no, we can trust him. Everything that you and I talked about, that their, like, religion, their growing up and the fucking times, like, no, we trust him. He couldn't possibly be doing anything bad. Waits 3 days, calls the FBI. FBI's like, hey, we're not home right now. Call this on Monday.
We're not home right now.
We're not home right now. Call this number if it's a, like, for real emergency.
Yeah.
And she goes, no, I don't want to worry anyone, because calling the FBI would somehow alert the fucking world. I'll wait out the weekend. It's fine. If he doesn't call back on Sunday, then we'll call the FBI.
Oh,
so
no.
then finally, on Monday, they call him. And I'm like, bitch, what? 5 days? Your child is gone? They just said they were going to the barn. You think they're fucking like, oh my god, these haystacks are so comfortable. I'm just gonna nap here for 5 days. Like,
Woo.
What do you think is happening?
I love hay so much. It's so comfortable.
I love
getting
hay
right into my
so
skin.
much. Oh,
I roll
my
around
God.
in it all day.
For 5 days, dude. Like, what the fuck? And she was 12, by the way, during all of this. 12 years old. Like, next year she'd be a teen. She's not even a teen yet. So, in my mind, she's a toddler. Like, if you don't have teen in your age, you're a toddler. You need to be, like, under 24/7 surveillance. Like, I don't know. Like, that's how... I'm not a parent, clearly, but that's how my brain works. And even as a teen, I'm like, great. So you get, like, 20 hours 7 days a week now instead of 24/7. You get 4 hours of free time a day.
This is what true crime is turning you into.
Yes. Yes, it is. True crime is turning me into a overly cautious parent of nothing.
If my child is out of my sight, they could be taken by a predator.
Yeah.
Any point. Okay, we're not going down here because then I'm going to start getting into this line of thinking, and then it's going to be really bad.
So here's where things get wild. During this time that she's kidnapped, I think she's in a trailer somewhere with him. He's playing her tapes. I think he would like drug her first, and then as she's in like this drug-induced sleep, there's these recordings playing, convincing her that she's part alien.
This is just like the extra fucked up part, because especially if you are on drugs, like, that shit changes your brain, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, you're not, and you have no control over it. You just, and if you don't know what's happening, you just have to accept that it's reality.
Plus 12. Her brain's
not
even developed, dog. She has like a quarter of a brain, if that. So yeah, he was like drugging her, keeping her like in and out of sleep and shit, and like playing her these alien recordings. Which means he put time into this, right? Mm-hmm. So theoretically, diabolical genius. He has to like make the plan, formulate the plan, okay? Step 1, convince her parents to love me. Step 2, get the cuddles on. Step 3, isolation. Step 4, abduction. Step 5, play alien recordings and convince her that she needs to have a child with me before she's 16. Step 8, like,
you know, obvious next step in the plan.
Yeah, like, where the fuck does that come in? So that's new. There's been a lot of abductings of kids over the years, which is terrifying and creepy, and I don't know how I could exist in this world with a child. He recorded himself to convince her and, like, put these fucking audio manipulations to the tapes to like make them sound fucking alien-y and shit. And yeah, it was convincing her that she was like part alien, that he's an alien, the race is dying out, they have to help repopulate it or some shit, and that she had to have a child with him before she turned 16. So he wanted to smash enough that she could get pregnant and make her have his baby.
I'm presuming before they left that trailer is what his plan was, you know?
Well, that's what I'm assuming, but like, yuck.
Yeah.
Even, why 16? Even 16 is too young. Even 17 is too, like, don't have sex until you're like 25.
That's when it's safe.
Please. Everyone under 25 is a sweet baby that needs to be protected.
Our world, our harsh, terrible, miserable world. terrible
world.
I've lost track of where my notes. Every time like you bring something up, I frantically look through my notes to see if I have something that relates to it. But my notes are like I don't even know if I actually did a good job, because some of my notes. Where is this? Okay, I just have one note that's no context. It just says, "This is going to make me suspicious of everybody." Did I mean that about, like, what part was I watching? Did I just mean that about the general movie, or like?
Just yes to all of those.
That's just my notes. And a lot of, like, I can't figure out what this movie is actually about. Like, I can't figure out the main if the point is just to be, oh my god, watch this spectacle, or if the point is like about a lot of like the religious stuff. That's the other thing I can't figure about this movie.
So, I mean, if we're talking about notes, keep in mind my notes have 2 lines. One that says, Daddy did more than a hand job, and the second note that said, Dad was gay. So, like, my notes are just as, like, uncontextual while having context.
I was just gonna say, I don't know what you mean. Those notes add perfect context to this entire movie.
So, abducts her, convinces her she's part alien and needs to have his baby. Through all of this, she's, like, falling in love with him. Well, what she thinks is falling in love with him. They go to Mexico and they get married, but then they want to come back because they don't want to live in Mexico after they've gone and gotten married. So, like, this man, yuck. They decide they want to come back, but they can't come back because you have to have permission from the parental guardians at that age to be able to marry them. He contacts his brother, B contacts his brother, and asks his brother to convince the parents to approve his marriage to their daughter. After the fact, after he's already married her, he asks his brother, hey bro, you think you can convince my wife's, ball and chain over there to approve our marriage so that I can come back to America?
And, like, this is the other thing, is, like, why didn't the brother then just, like, oh my god, my brother has married a 12-year-old, I should probably contact an authority figure about this, because marrying a 12-year-old is not a normal thing that you should do.
But it's okay, because this is the one point in this adventure in which the parents did the right thing. Surprise! Mommy and Daddy said no. Fucking twist. You don't expect that. Based off of everything else they had let slip, I would have thought marriage would be like a fucking celebration. But like,
based on the way that they already saw this dude, you would think that they would be like, "Ooh, nice guy." Like,
yeah, nice church boy. Good job.
Yeah. Oh.
I think there was like phone calls between them where like he started calling them directly or something and was like, yo, please let me smash. And then they did the next smart thing and they got the FBI to trace the calls. Go parents. They did the good thing. They did the right thing twice. Exactly twice. That's about where it ends.
Yeah, I was gonna say, doesn't that never happen ever again throughout the rest of this?
Yep. So FBI finds them, surprise, brings them back, gets the marriage annulled. She's no longer his wife or whatever, right? Fucking hallelujah. And gets back to her parents. They try to like sentence him to jail. Very clearly a pedophile, very clearly fucking monster, like yeet him into prison, whatever. We read this in the summary, but it's so fucking true. The FBI agent seems to be the only person that actually cared about Jan's safety than anyone else.
Yep. Like the whole time trying to convince the parents to do the right thing.
And they're like nah.
Yeah.
So FBI brings him back, is trying to sentence him to jail. They try to get the parents to sign an affidavit that, they didn't approve of him marrying their daughter, they didn't approve of the relationship, that he had kidnapped her and stuff like that. This is where things get just fucking insane. This is where, like, the roller coaster really, like, fucking skyrocketed. So the FBI just wanted them to sign affidavits to, like, just get the guy in jail. That's it. Like, he's already caught. He's already being sentenced. Their daughter's back. This could be done. This could be over. Mm-hmm. They don't sign them. Or they sign them saying that he didn't do it or something like that. It was like the opposite.
Yeah,
it was the bad side.
I think he specifically convinces them not to sign it somehow. Hold on.
I'll tell you how. Do you remember those 2 lines from my notes?
Oh, right.
Daddy did more than a hand job and Dad was gay? He blackmailed them through relationships with them.
See, this is why this dude is, like, the scariest
500 IQ predator?
Yeah. Like, he literally set everything up. He knew exactly where to worm his way in and exactly what to tell these people so that they would trust him, so that they would just go along with whatever he was doing because, he seems like a nice guy and we're we're a ho-hum family. It's just so terrifying.
I guess before he kidnapped Jan, he had been hanging out with the dad, spending time as like men together. We like church and we like our family. Men of that time. I think that's what men were saying, right?
Yeah, they would just walk out of their house and go,
yeah, that sounds
men.
like men. Yeah, literally. That's how I imagine it to me. They're spending a lot of time together, like going on drives and stuff. And apparently on a couple of those drives, just two bros chilling in a car together or chilling in a truck together, having a bro day, hanging out. The dad just gives him a hand job maybe a couple times. Or
just between bros.
Just, yeah, a casual bro hand job.
Which, that's totally fine if you want to have bro hand jobs.
If you
just,
listen,
you know,
you want to have,
don't let that person then use that bro hand job to manipulate you into not signing the proof that would put him away for kidnapping your daughter. That's all.
Another option, if someone is, you know, grooming your daughter, you probably shouldn't jerk him off. Wait, maybe that was his plan. Maybe he's like, if I jerk this guy off, maybe he won't want to sleep with my daughter later.
Oh, that's an interesting but also still super creepy angle to it. See, but here's the thing. Some people just can't see things. It's like when I'm talking about horror movies and we're talking about dumb decisions that people make in horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
If you're that character in the horror movie, you don't know you're in a horror movie. So going into that haunted building or going into that place where you feasibly might be able to be skeptical about the stories that people are saying about that place, right? Like, there's a disconnect between what that character knows and what the audience knows. And the character doesn't know they're in a horror movie, but the audience does. And it's kind of the same with this family. The family didn't know that they were in this horror movie, literally in this horror movie, because of this person. The person knows, and now, of course, we as the audience know. But it's like, when you're in that situation, sometimes you're just dismissing all the red flags because you're like, nah, I couldn't be in this situation. Like, it's just that's just not what's happening.
Do you know what horror movies did to me?
Bad things?
I'll show you on the doll. But like, I lock the door every time I shower. Because of horror movies.
Dude, I've been there. I have been there.
Every shower, I lock the door.
Until I moved in with my husband, could not, like, I had to have something playing on my phone, or, like, a movie playing, or some sort of light source. Like, I can't, basically, this is a roundabout way of saying I'm afraid of the dark, because I just can't be in it.
Honestly, same. Low-key, like, no cap, I have a fear of the dark.
And
but also, I can't sleep if there's too much light, so, like, I also like it dark. So, basically, I like to sleep in fear.
No, this is exactly my problem that was solved when I moved in with Riley, because now I have a protector who is beside me, so the dark is less scary,
yes.
You know? It's less scary. It would be the same, I guess, if you also had an animal. I would also feel safer with an animal than just being by myself.
I feel personally attacked in all of this because I am both single and my cat doesn't sleep with me at night. He usually cuddles with me in the morning.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I feel so fucking Pepe hands right now.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you feel Pepe hands. Anyways, that was a bit of a tangent. I can't remember where we left off.
I legitimately can't remember. Oh, hand job?
Yeah, I think that's right. I don't think I wrote down anything specifically about the hand job. I think I have a note.
Yo, I could not let that go.
I have a note that says, holy shit, he's gonna seduce the mom, and then in all capitals, and the dad. But I don't know if I have anything else about. I probably wrote that, holy shit, he's gonna seduce the mom first, and then when it got to the part about the dad, because they do separate those parts. The way that they introduce information in this is very much...
It's comedic.
Straight up. Yeah, like it's not a documentary.
Comedic.
It's like it's a plot that's happening. It's really weird.
Yeah. Even the alien shit doesn't come up until like late into the documentary. The dad was getting blackmailed. They're like, we will release that information. We will tell people that you've been giving out handies.
So nothing happens.
So the dad decides not to. I think it was at this point that the mom started to have a relationship with him. She was, like, super into him. When she talks about him in the movie, I'm like, boy. This lady loves him. He seduces her, gets in a relationship with the mom for 8 months, and during those 8 months, still was also going on, like, dates with Jan. And the mom knew about it and was like, yo, that's chill. For 8 months, he was smashing mom, and then would go, okay, good night. I'm gonna go to bed with my wife now and go and lay down with her daughter. And then, like, presumably do stuff with her.
And, like, it just seems like he knew that because of what he was doing with the mom and how much of a sin it is to
have an affair.
Like, he probably knew that she wouldn't say anything about the affair, and that because of that, she probably also wouldn't say anything else about what he was doing because it could eventually come around to her being exposed, you know?
Well, that, and she, like, loved him. Like, she didn't want him to go to jail.
Yeah, that's true.
She was, like, in love with him. Because she would have to stop seeing him. With those two things happening, they end up, like, saying, no, he didn't kidnap our daughter. Like, we're chill with him. It's all fine. The investigators managed to only get him in for, like, a little bit. He ends up on, like, good behavior and a reduced sentence and blah, blah, blah. He ended up only spending 10 days in jail.
Because, you know, that totally makes sense. The severity of what he did, that totally makes sense.
What?
Well, and this is after he's already been to jail. Because these are things that they don't talk about in these communities, you don't know what someone has done before they get into the church, right? Like, or not into this church at least, but there were other incidents.
There's other girls.
I can't remember
there were
what
6 other girls
happened.
that came forward.
Yeah.
And he was subjected he got 1 charge of rape, I think.
But, of course, like, I know that the brother knew about this, but I don't remember if the family, Jan's family or anyone ever ended up hearing about that, you know? Like, because people are so tight-lipped sometimes and just brush it under the rug and don't talk about it. Like, if you don't talk about those things, how do you know when you are letting someone like that into your circle? Anyway, so that's all I was going with it.
It's like the, if I can't see you, you can't see me thing.
Yeah, exactly. We can both be bad people because we'll just not talk about it, and then it's totally fine.
Yeah, I didn't see it. It's fine.
Oh, also, I don't even know if we've mentioned yet. I just read it in one of my notes. This dude has a wife and kids of his own.
Wait, he does?
Yeah, he does. He has a wife and kids of his own. Before anything, yeah. I don't remember if eventually the wife leaves him or something like that, but I remember a little bit of the documentary that I rewatched before we did this talked about how the whole reason that the dad started having, like, sexual relations with him is because he was not having good relations with his own wife, is apparently the excuse that he gave to the dad. And so that's why he was like, look, I just need release, please. I just, like, can you help me out? And that's how it all started. And so he had his own family. Like,
I mean, when your homie begs you, dude, like, what are you supposed to do?
I mean,
like, that's
well, I mean, you could be like, yo, homie, that's not my jam.
Yo, homie, I don't typically do this.
I should look up what else was going on with his own family during all of this, because I feel like they're never really mentioned.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, they're not mentioned enough to the point that we forget that they even exist, right?
100%. Definitely forgot they existed. He moves to Wyoming or something. So he, like, gets out of jail, moves to Wyoming, and then opens a family fun center.
On brand?
Guy, so on fucking brand. So on brand. What a fucking career move, dude.
Yeah.
What? And then he calls them and tries to convince them to let Jan come stay with him for the summer and work for him. And the dad said, no. Like, no. Yeah. Another one of the key only times that there's good parenting. He said, no, absolutely not. And the wife said, come on. I mean, it's B. And the dad goes, okay. And then they let her go.
I mean, this goes back to what you were saying about the mom, being in love with him, right? Yeah. Maybe she was just too far gone or something. I don't understand why you would ever, even if you were in love with someone, you would side with that person over your child. like, the safety of your child. It doesn't make any sense.
She was banging the dude and knew that he was at least interested enough in her daughter to, I don't know, marry her. But she still did it anyway. She still continued to, like, smash, continued to, like, cheat on her husband, whatnot. They're like, yeah, okay, you can go stay with him for the summer. Yeah, she didn't fucking come back after the summer, dog. What are you talking about? They just disappear.
Wow, it's almost like history repeats itself when you don't learn from it. It's probably fine now. There's probably no problem.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It wasn't fucking fine. They disappeared. They somehow got caught, but when she came back, she was emotionless and angry and, like, bitter all the time. He was sending her, like, love letters still and stuff, and she just wanted to be with him and kept being vocal about how she wanted to be with him. This might have been prior to the second kidnapping.
Her attitude change was related to all of that alien stuff, because she was getting older, and, like, in her mind, it was something she had to do to, I don't remember if it was just to save her family or to save other people, but, like, it wasn't happening, and her parents were impeding her from that, you know?
Yeah.
On top of also probably being very emotionally fucked from everything she was going through. Like, there's, like, probably 6 million things compiling there. I think it had something to do with that, and, like, her feeling like she had this thing that she needed to do, and her parents were not letting her do it, and it was,
the whole alien, like, fucking, I gotta make my baby, like, well, and wasn't she, like, getting threats, too? In those messages or whatever, wasn't it saying, like, if you don't have a baby before 16, like, your family's gonna die, all the people you care
that's what I'm saying.
are gonna die?
Yeah. She thought she had to do it to save people for some reason, and she was specifically told that, and so it just makes it more frustrating for her when her parents don't let her do something that she thinks she needs to do for them, you know? It was like layers and layers of shit piled on top of each other for things to work out the way they did, kind of.
And this is where things, like, start to turn around. She gets back. She's, like, having a rough time. I think she, like, ends up, like, seeing therapy, or I don't know. They were able to fight to get him in jail, but when he was caught, instead of going to jail, he overdosed on his heart medication so that he would die. So he didn't have to go to jail.
So the second time she gets abducted, I'm just skimming through the article and reading the part where he gets her to phone her parents, too, I think. And, they're talking to her, and then he tries to enroll her in a school, and I think that's how he gets caught.
Oh, that's it. They found her because he, like, had made a call to the family on a payphone or something, and they traced it and found it at a payphone close to the trailer, and then they found her in a nearby Catholic school under a different name.
Yeah.
Same first name, different last name.
Yeah.
And he was posing as her father.
Yeah. And then that's when she came back and was all, like, emotionally weird and kind of not there and distant and stuff.
Well, and when she came back and, like, is healing from all this stuff, then she gets to find out her mom wrote a fucking book and monetized the abductions and shit.
Yeah, that was so... Her mom in the documentary, like, I have to give her credit at the end there. She seemed like she was probably never going... Or she says in the documentary that she's never going to forgive herself. And all of this stuff, like, just all of this stuff on top of each other. You have to think she either has to be just really naive and gullible, which I think she is, or...
Here's the thing. I'd probably be able to let some of that stuff go. Maybe as, like, really naive, really not familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
Except that the mom was a social worker for youth. That was her job.
That's scary. That's so scary.
Her mom's job was a social worker for the same demographic as her daughter. And she's, like, she has to know predatory behavior from being a social worker. She has to know better, and she still let it happen. And I don't think it says it in the documentary. I think they left that out of the documentary. Like, I think they specifically left that out. Because I found out because people found her Facebook page, and people started to, like, they looked up her name and stuff, and they were able to find, like, her credentials and shit. And so it's, like, pretty publicly, like, known on the internet that she's a social worker for youth.
I definitely don't remember that being in the documentary, but I can definitely see it could have been something that they briefly mentioned offhand as, like, this is a not important detail. You don't need to focus on it, you know?
Yeah, but, like, she has been trained. She should know better. Like, one thing that irked me was that when the dad and the mom did eventually, like, divorce from, I don't know, both cheating on each other with the same man as each other, and the same man who was actively pursuing their daughter very publicly, like, continually asking them if he could marry her and, like, wanting to marry her. Like, I don't think you can get more obvious than that. And they're still like, nah, we also want relationships with you. It's fine. You could be our family pet. He was the family pet.
See, I don't know what to say, because I want to say that it just is, like, completely 100% only selfish. Like,
100%.
You like the way that things are set up, and if you do anything about it, then they might change, and even though, like, you also don't want to admit to yourself that things are way worse than they are, so it's, like, the perfect mix of, well, it's all right for me, so let's just leave it for now, you know?
It's kind of like a fuck it situation. Like, fuck it. You're banging my daughter and very clearly want to marry her, but, like, I don't want to cause a scene and lose my status, and fuck it.
In the worst possible way. This is like...
All of it's just like, fuck it.
This is essentially how weird cult shit starts, though, you know? Like...
Is with, fuck it?
The infallible guy who's always kind of nice to you, and nothing could ever go wrong, and you trust him even though he literally tells you that he wants to marry your 12-year-old daughter, and all of that weird stuff, right? And then all of a sudden you're in Mexico, and your daughter's married, and, I mean, this didn't quite go down the cult route, but, you know, that's kind of how it goes. Also, we haven't even...
in a whole ass other country.
We haven't talked about, in between her abductions, when they let him back into their life, essentially, and he starts talking about therapy that he needs to do.
Oh, so this is when he's banging them. This is as he's banging mom, has a relationship with mom, and as he's getting handies from dad... This is what's happening too.
Okay, I there's so much stuff that happens that I think I just forget in the timeline.
The timeline? Yeah. Yeah. Because it's all that's a busy day.
What does he tell the parents that his therapy is, first and foremost?
Isn't it with the church? He goes to, like, their church and is like, hi, I'm very clearly obsessed with Jan. Like, everyone knows this. You know, I married her. They said no. Haha, funny. Went to jail for a few days. It's fine. But according to him, when he was getting therapy from the church, they told him that if he was, like, obsessed with Jan, he, like, had to spend more time with her. No. What was it?
It was almost like he was saying he needed exposure therapy or something like that. And that...
Like, to be around her more often.
Yeah.
So he could get over his obsession.
Yeah, the only way to get over it was to spend more time with her or something like that. That's what he told the parents. I mean, I want to say that I highly doubt the church or any type of authority would tell him that, but I have no idea, to be honest.
I don't buy it. I mean, he's lied about a bajillion other things, so, like...
Well, yeah, exactly.
Surprisingly he lies about this. So, like, I don't buy it. I'm thinking the church probably didn't say that, but either way, parents bought it.
Yeah, that's all that really matters at the end of the day, is that the parents bought it.
The church said it. Well, I guess here's our daughter.
Yeah.
Do you want us to shower her before or after? You know, I'm sorry, but, like, they were basically, like, pimping their daughter out to her at that point.
Yeah, but instead of money, they were getting their own pimping.
Except they also had to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had to pay to pimp their daughter.
I don't know if I have any other juicy notes other than, like, scathing remarks about the documentary, like how cavalier people were seeing and everyone seemed so chill when they shouldn't have been so chill for some of it. I don't know. Maybe, like, some of it just has to do with how long ago some of this happened for the characters. And I just said characters. I did not mean to say characters.
It feels like a show.
I know.
It's, like, so fucking... How the fuck... anyone could just, like, let this happen to their daughter. It doesn't feel like it can be real. Just the lack of, it feels very written.
Yeah.
And predictable.
I think some of that has to do with the documentary itself, too, though. And, like, I don't remember if I knew about this case before I watched... I mean, I'd probably heard about it because I listened to a lot of true crime podcasts, but I don't have a specific memory of it before watching this documentary. And so just the way that it's shaped in my mind is very dramatic and very much based on how it was presented. on Netflix, essentially, which is probably not the best way to ingest things like that.
Well, and so there's conspiracies too.
Oh yeah, we haven't even gotten to your conspiracies column yet.
There's only 4 points, and really it pans out to 2 conspiracies, basically.
Okay, I'm ready.
So, I think this one, I don't fully remember, but I think this one involves that church psychologist that he saw, right? That we're like, I don't buy it, like, I don't think, like, anyone would, like, actually recommend that therapy for him and stuff. The FBI agent, his name is Welsh. The FBI agent did at one point confirm that he did see a psychologist.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's the church one, if it's a different one, because I think he, like, went... Because he did also go to a mental institution for, like, another, like, 10 days or something like that. He also got released from that for good behavior.
Okay.
So it might be a psychologist there, not actually a church one. It might have been a psychologist at that mental health institution that recommended exposure therapy. And the FBI agent did confirm the existence of the psychologist. And from what I read on Reddit, apparently it was confirmed that the psychologist that he supposedly saw even had their license revoked in California. So it's highly possible he actually did get that diagnosis.
I think regardless, he would have found a way to get in there, but that totally would have solidified it and, like, given him an excuse.
That would have flown by, like, authorities even in some cases, right?
Yeah.
Like, even if the parents had reported it, like, suddenly had a snap to realization, hey, none of this is okay. You want to touch our daughter more? Like, calling the authorities? Like, even then, a doctor's note from a registered psychologist that it recommends that therapy, like...
Yeah.
It probably would have flown in some... I mean, it probably would have been supervised or whatever, but, like, it still would have been exposure.
Yeah.
So that's one conspiracy.
That's so messed up.
Now, there's a conspiracy that his brother was equally as involved. Like, that his brother was helping him throughout all of this.
I mean, you know how I feel about his brother already.
Oh, yeah.
So,
brother is creepy. Brother is, like, validating behavior.
His brother is like, all throughout this documentary, his brother is almost, it seems like he's trying to justify it almost.
Yeah, constantly, and brushing it off. Like, he does a good job of minimizing.
Making it not a big deal, basically.
Yeah. Okay, so what? He hung out with a kid. Okay, so, like, you know, the girl was, like, in love with him. Like, they were in love. Whatever. Like, he, like, does a good job of, like, minimizing what his brother has done. When they got married in the first place, he had, like, his brother had called him to convince the family, and he obviously tried to convince the family. Apparently, his brother had a copy of, or even maybe some other alien tapes.
So he just knew everything.
Yeah. And Jan apparently later on said that there was 2 voices for the aliens.
Oh, creepy.
So his brother could have been actively involved.
Oh, I would not be surprised.
And got no repercussion.
It would be very brazen of him to go on the documentary after, but he could just be that kind of dude. And, like, obviously...
Oh, easy. He's already gotten away with it. Like nobody thinks it.
Based off of his attitude during his interview segments in that documentary, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like he really thinks it's that big of a deal. Or, like, it's his brother, so whatever, you know? Like, all that stuff you said earlier, like, that comes across when he's being interviewed. And it just seems like he really doesn't give a shit up until the point that it actually affects him and his brother.
What?
Yuck. Yeah, yuck.
I think, personally, the dad also had a relationship with him. Like, I don't think it was just, like, you know, a couple homie handjobs, like, every now and then. I think it was, like, a full-on, with the shit that he let him get away with and the shit that he, like, didn't follow up on and just kind of accepted and whatnot, I think he also had a relationship with him. When you watch the documentary, when looking at their faces when they talk about him, they were, like, all in love with him.
It is almost like a sparkle, almost.
Yeah, like, there's, like,
weird.
life in their eyes when they talk about him. And, like, almost apathy when they talk about, like, the bad things that he's done. Except for Jan. I will say, like, Jan at the end was, like, really strong. Like, she's, like, very vocal about what happened to her. Worked with, like, other girls to also bring up allegations against him. That's how, like, he even was going to be jailed. She's been, like, really active about it. And, like, this is something fucking horrible that happened to me. I don't want it to happen to anyone else kind of way.
Yeah.
Jan, like, went fucking boss on it.
Yeah.
Really scummy of her mom to sell a book about it. Real scummy.
Oh, yeah. Did we ever end up finishing that train of thought, too?
Mommy wrote a book about it and made money off of her daughter's abductions and her daughter having everything done to her mentally and physically by a pedophile, and she just let it happen and had a relationship with a man and then decided, hey, I'm gonna write a book and make money. Thanks, daughter. Love your drama.
I have, like, a curiosity, too, about what perspective that book is written from. Like,
I want to read it, but I don't want to give her money.
Right? Like, I don't want anyone to profit off of that, but I'm intensely curious about what the actual words written in this book are.
It, you know?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Some other notes. Mom wasn't getting it from Dad, so she got it from B. It's one of my notes.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
Which I think is pretty clear. Dad said divorcing was the worst day of his life.
Yeah, okay, I also have a similar note. My note says, mine's a little long, but it says, also, Dad says worst thing he ever did was cheat on his wife by giving a handjob, but not letting a molester sleep in the same bed as his daughter for 6 fucking months.
I like that you and I both went down the same line of rage with that, and both made, like, it's such a small part. All he said was, cheating on my wife and getting divorced was the worst day of my life, the worst experience of my life. That's it. It's like one line, right? Like one line in the entire, like, hour and a half long documentary, and both of us fucking went in on it.
Because it makes no sense. It just has... I can't even talk. Like,
because it's so angering. It's so frustrating. Are you fucking kidding me? You let all this shit happen to your daughter, and you're like, but the cheating, though.
Actually, the whole point of this documentary is what is the worst thing I've ever done, and not...
This is... this whole case, this whole situation, is just like, how to tell your parents don't care about you 101.
Like,
is what it feels like.
And the fact that Jan herself now has still a relationship with her parents, like, she is the strongest person.
Strongest woman known to fucking man. Are you kidding me? What the hell? What the actual fuck? And gaslit out of her, like, mind, dude. What the hell?
She has to be, like, she has to have superhuman critical thinking skills at this point in her life, you know?
So that's one of the points. He told her to have a baby before she turned 16, comma, like, ew.
I have, in all capitals, WTF, part of his therapy, so gullible, and then underneath, from a little bit later, just in all scribbly capitals, is this real?
Oh, I have, was boning the mom and daughter at the same 8-month mark, like, what? And then, when he was released from jail after 10 days of being a pedophile, he opened a family fun center.
Yeah, no one saw maybe an issue with that.
I have another note that just says, her mom let her go live with him. Oh my god. Yeah, that's all my notes.
I think that's pretty much all of mine too. Other than, most of my notes ended up just being about how much I actually hated the framing of the documentary. And, like, because, like, I couldn't figure out as I was watching, are they just showing us? Is the point just to show us how blind these people were? Like... I couldn't figure it. I couldn't figure out, or maybe it didn't have a point.
I think they just wanted drama. I think they just wanted. I think honestly, they heard the story. Quite honestly, I'm being 100% here. I think they heard what happened. They thought the parents made such fucking dumb decisions that it's almost comedic. Like, how much they let him get away with and everything that they, like, contributed themselves with their own relationships with him and stuff is honestly so preposterous that it is comedic. What happened to her is not funny. What they did is not funny. But it's so preposterously comedic that I think they were like, we have to make a movie about this. That's all I got, though.
I think that's pretty much all I got, too. We went through, like, a good... You remembered a lot more of that timeline.
Dude, the weed, man. It just, like, brought it out of me. Like, memories just came flowing.
If other people want to find you or your stuff, where should people go looking on the internet?
Oh, me.
Yeah, you.
Because, you know, there's so many other people here.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Actually, you're right. I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to this other person over here.
Oh, okay. I get it.
I was trying to think of a name, but I can't think of a name, so...
That's okay. All I could think of was my cat.
Yes, it's right. I was speaking to Ryan.
It's my cat. It makes sense, dude. I'm gonna start an Instagram just for him. He's such a model.
I guess Riley's home. I could have pretended I was talking to my husband, but that's okay.
No, that's too easy. Twitch.tv/Phlog or Twitter.com/Phlog. Actually, both is good. Both is good.
And I really don't do anything other than, I guess I have another podcast that I do. If you want to hear more of my voice, perhaps talking about horror movies, I am also on the Tremble podcast, which comes out every Wednesday, and I think it's pushed to most podcast apps, but otherwise, there's a website somewhere out there. I don't know it right now, so if this gets published with notes, I'll put it in the notes. And if you're listening to this in a car, then too fucking bad. You're just gonna have to try and remember when you get home.
But also, please be safe.
Oh yeah, that too. Bless you.
I'm allergic to driving distracted. Yeah, dude, I'm allergic to it. Don't do it.
I can't use my brain well enough to counter this argument.
Nice, I win. Hell yeah. I'll send you my PayPal later.
That's not allowed.
Not allowed.
You can't let your partner win arguments.
You're right, I don't.